So, I'm going to explain this subjective and objective marriage of morality. It's really straightforward. I think it's kind of a surprise that it's not understood this way in a more technical, more educated, like philosophy-like style, because it's really intuitive and obvious and easy. I think that the things that are really accessible are often the things that we need to pay more attention to, and this is just one of them. Basically, harm is felt. We each verify the impact of harm because we have direct experiential access to it. We can see and measure this harm indirectly in others. So I can tell you indirectly that someone else is uncomfortable because they will tell me with their articulation in one way or another. They will tell me with their expression in one way or another. I can read, hey, that expression, that body language, etc., is exemplary of harm. We can read biological signs that indicate suffering is occurring or that there is a problem. But we can never directly access someone else's account of their own harm. You will never be able to experience what it's like to be me, and I will never be able to experience what it's like to be you, or a cow, or a bird, or a fish, or anything that exists and is alive with their own closed structure. I think that this operates really obviously on the level of consciousness and sentience. Of course, me as a conscious sentient being, I'm made up of all these individual cells that are operating autonomously and together. And that's a consciousness, that's a state of being that I don't have experiential access to. They make me up, they are part of me, and yet they're part of my body, and yet they're not really a part of my consciousness. They still matter, they still inform my body. I can experience harm, from the microorganisms inside of me being harmed indirectly, but this is the basis for which harm happens. Like, harm would not exist if there was no one to experience the harm, and every single one of us can verify what it's like to experience our own suffering. That's how we have it. That's how we're able to observe it. That's how we have a word for it. That's how we're able to talk about it. That's how we're able to strategize around causing it. We can choose to cause it. We can choose not to cause it. We can have one action that we know will cause harm. We can have another action that we're certain won't cause harm. And then we make adjustments in our calculations according to what we do and what others experience. The problem is that whenever we just decide that we're not accountable to the harm that we cause others, it creates a breakdown in us immediately. It happens right away, immediately. And that initial harm, that decision to cause it, only grows in effect. It only gets more and more elaborate. It only worsens. So one minor intentional harm, will undoubtedly and immediately and eventually become something a lot more complicated and bigger than it was initially. We see that harm happens on lines, right? So I can choose to harm you. I would never, but I could choose to harm you based on any characteristic of yours. Any characteristic. That all of those characteristics are not actually relevant to the fact that I have been the one to decide to harm you, right? You actually have no control over that. You only have a control over what you do. And that's why it's important for us to be aware of the harms that we cause and to intentionally not cause them, because we only have control over what we do. And the way that we influence the world is by example, really. A lot of people who don't know that they're causing harm or who do intentionally cause harm are doing it because that's the example that's set. That's the society they were put in. That's how they understand the world. And it's not fair. It's not fair to them, and it's not fair to the people that they're harming, or the individuals or the victims even that they have that effect on. But I think that just as equally as we have that verification and access to harm and responsibility for it. In the same exact way, we have the verification and access to joy and pleasure of various kinds. Now, joy for its own sake is not inherently good. I could hypothetically have access to some kind of pleasure or joy through the harming of someone else, and that's whenever it's not okay. So these things are not like on their face. Like, you really have to stay critical. You know, you can't just say, well, it feels good and that's my verification and therefore I can do it, because a lot of like, you know, I'm sure there's ways of dying that feel good. Like, I'm sure that there's terrible things that feel good, and I don't think that the surface feeling of pleasure is enough to justify something on its own. I don't think pleasure is really needing justification, right? The harm needs justification. And I don't think there is a justification for harm ultimately, because we can always choose, we can always work it out, we always have access to another lane, another way to handle a situation every single time. It just takes creativity and a commitment to not causing war, anti-war mindedness, peacefulness. So this takes creativity, it takes intention. I think it's definitely necessary for us as an organized society and a global species to pay attention to these mechanisms and actually use intention whenever we operate on this scale, because something that I do in any day can have an impact on the other side of the globe. Like, we are so responsible, like so accountable, and it's just so necessary for us to navigate that accordingly. I don't buy the idea that like non-human animals are not moral agents, because why wouldn't they be? They also make decisions. We don't make decisions on our own. I mean, an animal can choose to be an asshole just like a non-human, just like a human animal can choose to be an asshole. So I don't really think that's fair. Like, it's not fair to put someone who doesn't speak the language you're speaking on trial and punish them for not being able to defend themselves, right? So it wouldn't make sense to do that to any non-human who's unable to, you know, especially as we are now, where we are completely as a society deaf to their voices and like desires and wills. It's actually pretty far deteriorated, the cohesion of our ecosphere. We lived, you know, in relative, you know, mutual negotiation with the rest of the ecosphere until very recently, you know, in the grand scheme of things, when human supremacy really took over. And industrialization just inherently has human supremacy in it. Like, there is no situation that industrialization has happened that wasn't human supremacist violence against the land and against the native populations of humans and non-humans who were already there. It's just going to be a step. Like, honestly, like the sixth mass extinction, it's happening already. It's already happening. It's happening because of human supremacy. Very clear, very one-to-one straightforward. Like, we just have to acknowledge that and move accordingly. You just learn from what we've done and what is going on and move accordingly. It's really simple. It's really simple. It's really not like you're bad. It's just what we inherited. We inherited this. So we have to see it, understand we need biocentric ethics, understand we need to consider the land, understand that the violence against individual animals, like that extreme fascistic violence against individual non-human animals, is directly linked to our own planetary demise. And that's just it. It's okay. Like, it's okay to like look at it, see it for what it is, and move forward, because biocentrism is so able. It's so capable. Like, it's so abundant. Like, we really can replant this planet and be fine in 20 years. Like, we really can. It's possible. It's probable. Because I don't think that humans are gonna like just be cool with extinction. And that's what war will cause. That's what this ongoing war against nature and war against each other, like, and I say this because the war against nature is foundational to our interhuman wars. Like, we would not have the ability to slaughter each other in nation states if we hadn't already completely sterilized the biodiversity that set the precedent for us to even be here. I think we're either going to get through this and abolish war, abolish fascism, abolish human supremacy, and move on a biocentric ethic, or we're going to go extinct. Like, whoever survives is going to need to plant seeds. They're going to need trees. Like, whoever survives some kind of total collapse is going to run into the same continual problems that human supremacy causes. It will always cause them. Because life works in a biocentric way, not a human supremacist way. And we're just going to have to conform to that. Like, we don't have a choice. And honestly, I'm much happier in a reality that operates in an equitable and dynamic and cyclic way than this human supremacist model that operates exclusively on might makes right. In a biosphere, your speciality guarantees your position, not your willingness to kill. Your relationship with others secures your livelihood, not your power over them. That's how nature works. That's how we evolved and got here, right? So that's just going to be how we continue, I believe. We've done as much as we can to disrupt the natural order, and there is a natural order. The water cycle, like these polymetallic nodules on the bottom of the ocean, like they're probably on other planets. It just seems to be that oxygen sets the precedent for life, okay? So there is a natural order to the way life happens, and that's okay. We can learn about it. We can understand it, and we can like appreciate it and value what we can learn from like the rules of the universe, and appreciate them for what they are, and even steward them to our benefit, like our collective whole benefit. Like, that's a possibility. I really think that it's necessary for literally anybody who is able to like really face what's going on with the deforestation and the sterilization of the oceans and with the mass captivity of all life on this planet. It's really easy for you to see this and go vegan. It's really easy to be vegan. Being vegan means you value the lives of others. And that's it. That's it. It is not deep. There's always a way to make it work. But they're not consumption. They're not an item for consumption. They're not food. That is an individual that has a right to exist just like you. It is a civil rights, a social justice, a climate justice, and an environmental justice. Like, it is about their right to be there. And it's not about you. It's not about you losing anything. This is a gain. This is a gain. And honestly, like, if you are able to really connect that and keep your intention right, it's never going to be hard. Like, social pressure is real, but that is social pressure to be fascist and to kill your planet and to slaughter your neighbor and to rape the people around you, the non-human and plant life. Of course, it directly extends to human activity. Like, we have been knowing that the way we treat one population has an effect on the way we treat other populations, especially when it comes to violence. It's really clear. It's really clear to me. It's so clear. And if you have the ability to access history, you will be able to verify this. Like, human beings have been turned into furniture, and it's not okay to do that either. And it's a one-to-one. Like, just because someone is a different species does not mean that violating their body in that way is okay. It just isn't. It just isn't. They're not there for you to use. We are here for each other's benefit. Okay, we're maybe here for each other's mutual aid and uplifting. Like, all of reality, as life evolves, it evolves deeper and more complex consciousness and ways to relate to one another, and just like more and more finely detailed dynamism, right? That is what we're here for. Like, and there are so many options for coexistence that exist outside of the purview of violence, outside of the purview of dominion and force, right? Like so many options. Like, and if we are directly in control of the way that we impact others, like, it is our obligation to bring about the best outcome for everyone. Like, that literally, like, we are smart enough, we are observant enough, we're capable enough to see these broader systems, to see how we fit into them, how we affect them, to see the individuals within them and to learn about those and their interrelations that even happen outside of us, which is many and good things that happen outside of us, you know, like the microbial action that happens without my, you know, direct participation. I mean, I can choose what to eat to feed my microbes, my gut microbiome, right? But I don't have direct access to what they're doing. I can't control ultimately the way that they work. I can only understand them the best I can and do my best for them. Just like every other relationship I'm going to have ever. So it's our responsibility to do this. And this is also honestly, this is how my relationship anarchy works. I think it's got to be even across the board, and I think it's very, very valuable for me to have that, you know, mindset of I can understand you and I can do my best to accommodate you for our betterment. It is never my right to violate you, you know? And I think that really just cleanly applies everywhere. Our relationship with land, our relationship with others in our groups, others in our out groups, you know, people who we're not directly connected to, but who we interact with. All of those relationships can be improved by a basic commitment to understand and respect. And that has to apply to non-humans. That has to apply to our environmental systems and cycles. It just does. It just does. We rely on them. They don't rely on us. We definitely rely on these systems to continue. Thanks for listening.